What's up, everyone out there? It's backwards ass Dave, live streaming, Rockin Ibanez, my friend. And here we go. The band is out. You guys ready? Yeah, the band's ready. What's up, everybody out there? Thank you for tuning in. Rockin' Dave, Rockin' Ibanez. Look at Jim Dietrich. Hey, what's happening, Mr. Jim? Rockin' Jim. It was good talking to you yesterday. We got Clive. What's happening, my friend? Thank you so much for tuning in on this Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock. Well, it's a little after 7. We did have our band practice, our two-man band practice. Right there, what I was doing is something I had created in my loop pedal, right from my Digitech, and just locked it into my my Digitech looper, which I think got the videos up from last night. It was dark, and all of a sudden I figured out, oh, I got a flashlight on my phone. I'll just hit that, and then all of a sudden the light comes on, and you know, between the ears and on the phone the light comes on. So, which is really cool, because here's the thing, guys. If you're a creative musician and you like to improvise, right there, man, it works great. I really hope these other manufacturers say, all right, if there's something going on with Digitech, let's go ahead and talk with that engineer that did this, that was able to create this with the RP series. Let's, you know, float him a couple extra bucks and buy him a beer or something and get him over to our team and take that same concept and put it in here. Because here's the reality with this thing. The knob, the master volume on the RP360XP is real nice and big. That knob is a multi-purpose thing. When you call for the drum pattern, it's easy to turn on and off with your foot. And when you hit the other foot switches, you actually come out of the drum pattern and into your guitar effects. So now you can turn on and off your effects and, you know, start doing your live looping. And it's great, man. I don't understand. Maybe people didn't see what they could do with this thing, you know. Everything takes time, right? So again, we're talking about with the Ibanez guitars, and for those who are tuning in now, maybe you'll see this If you can't tune in right now, you could always watch the reruns. But I do want to share something with everybody out there. I think, let's see, Mitch Heyman has got the RG Prestige, the blue Sunburst one with the maple fretboard and the matching headstock. And so does EJ Guitars and Music in Texas. He's got that same guitar. And it's the guitar that's got the blue, it's like a blue aqua burst, and the back and the sides is like a Bumbinga, or not Bumbinga, it's ash wood, but it's almost like a maple finish. Well, Ibanez has another model of that exact same guitar, but it's not Prestige, because I almost bought that. And when I was playing this felt more comfortable to me, and kind of like the Dragon's Eye Burst. Plus, it's a flat matte finish, and down here in Florida it gets hot as hell, you know, so it just works. But both the Prestige model that I've seen so far on YouTube, and the Gem Junior, and I think some of the other Ibanez guitars, including this, has the Floyd Rose type of bridge. You guys can see that. Here's the tuners, and there are the where you go to unlock for the strings, right? Okay. Now, the older Ibanez will have what's called their Edge tremolo system. Okay, so this is what the Ibanez Edge system really is. Here's my tuners, the fine tuners, and you see that's where the Allen key is. And sometimes they would call this a low profile. Well, maybe I should do this, guys, right? A low profile Edge tremolo system. If you see this, here's your tuners, and that's where you go to unlock the saddles. They have several versions of this, and this really became the standard for Ibanez. On the S series model guitars, and I think some of the other higher models, on the back plate, they would have, I believe it's called the zero return trem. It has like a little flywheel. So if you wanted to stop without trying to stick an eraser or a block of wood between the actual bridge assembly and the cavity, there was a flywheel. I think it's called the zero return trem. There's a flywheel. It will lock it right in place. R2, R3 locking nut will definitely know what I'm talking about there, as well as some of the other guys and gals out there. But some of you are not aware of this because maybe it's your first experience with Ibanez guitars, and this is what's been going on with some of their latest models. I was kind of shocked to see this type of bridge, even on the Prestige and the Gem Junior. Now, maybe they're teamed up with Floyd Rose, but you got to be careful, because if you need to replace this and you figure, I'll just buy the Floyd Rose, these two screws might be just off enough that when you go to replace it, they won't line up. The same thing is with the, I think it's All Parts or All Pro or Pro Parts. I should know this because I bought a Les Paul bridge that has the roller saddles, and I bought it for my Gibson. And since my Gibson is USA made, I had to specify that is for a USA made guitar, because I also have an Epiphone Les Paul. And it's on a metric system. The Epiphone is where the Gibson's on, you know, US. All that's good. Size matters, my friends, and it's going to matter just slightly, so you don't have to go drilling extra holes into the body of the guitar and go through all this rigmarole and rigomoris. But yeah, I wanted to see just what the interest was on the R2, R3. What's happening, my friend? Groovy Ghoulie, what's happening, buddy? Groovy Ghoulie. There used to be a cartoon called the Groovy Ghoulies, and it was in the 70s. Let's see. I was just a kid. Well, we used to have Saturday morning cartoons. Land of the Lost, HR Puff and stuff. Oh, God, a gazillion others that, you know, as time goes on, you forget, right? Groovy Ghoulies. We had the Groovy Ghoulies, as well as Dirty Dragon. Yeah, BJ and Dirty Dragon and the Giggle Snort Hotel. And, well, that's just another subject for another time. I barely remember that. Oh, you're born in 1970. Okay. Well, yeah, I was born in 1963. And I was born in November 1963, and I remember the summer of 1969 because we had all the hippies sit out in an apartment complex we would play at, and or where we lived, And then they had a band, and they would, you know, drop the extension cord out the window and then plug the amps in. And when you're a little kid, a combo amp will look like a big monster because you're a little kid. You know, you don't realize the size as you get older. You know, so that was that time. But with the Ibanez guitars, I wanted to see if there's enough interest in continuing with talking about Ibanez, because they've been around, I want to say, over 40 years on their own. And I think one of the greatest things that would ever happen to that company is Gibson suing them and everyone else coming out the woodwork suing them. We're going to take you down, clown, that's it. Because what it did was, they started to make their own company. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I've had an artist, Ibanez artist, was my first good guitar, and not everything that they made was great, okay? And we all know that with every brand. So I'm not going to say, yep, I'm taking over Ibanez guitars and you cannot say anything bad about them. No. Give your opinion. Your opinion matters, right? But it's interesting, out of all the companies, other than Gibson, Fender, Gretsch, Guild, the companies that were also making electric guitars. Dean Guitars was around in the 70s, but then they disappeared. Something happened. ESP came out, I want to say they came out in the 70s. And, you know, now we have the ESP LTD guitars, but, you know, I remember when ESP was coming out. But as far as a company that has such a wide spectrum of different body design, style of guitars, and people that's on their artist endorsement. In the jazz sector, you have George Benson, the George Benson model. Later on, you had the Pat Metheny hollow body jazz guitar, and then the John Scofield, which really, the John Scofield model is like a Gibson ES335, but it's really taking the Ibanez artist and making it semi-hollow. Because before it was the John Scofield model, it was a semi-hollow version of the Ibanez artist. And John Scofield loved that guitar and says, hey, I'm going to, you know, this is kind of like my main axe, you know, I'm really digging it. And of course, Paul Stanley, the Paul Stanley model, but it was really the Iceman series. And then you had Phil Collins from Def Leppard, that black Ibanez Destroyer with the triple pickups. That was kind of like his signature guitar for a short time, but it was still his signature guitar. We got Andy Timmons, you know, of course, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and Nita Strauss, and there's a few others. Oh, Steve Miller Band did play an Ibanez artist, because the old catalog, there's pictures of him playing the Artist Series guitar, and Bob Weir had from the Grateful Dead, I believe he had a signature model, and I can't remember the guy's name from the band America, you know, Horse with No Name. He had a double neck version. And it's interesting how this company has evolved, and whether they had under the table people buying in and out of the company, they kept the company going strong, you know. Now, I think where they kind of went down a little bit was when they had their X series guitars. They were going through a transition state, and I did a real stupid thing, but you know, desperation, and when you're young, you're not really too bright upstairs, so what I did was, back in 1985, I took my Ibanez Artist and my friend's Gibson J45 acoustic. I believe it was a J45. Or maybe it was a J50. I can't remember. But I took those two guitars and did a straight trade for the Ibanez X series. It was a blue Destroyer with zebra stripes on it. It was a bolt-on neck, and it was their very, very cheap model Ibanez guitar, but the pickups were great. It was great. We're back. Mr. Ben Coombs, how you doing, my friend? I guess you had a marathon on Sunday. 5 hours. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone tuning in and everyone who is subscribed, and you know, and I say this on as much as I possibly can, if I remember. You know, I don't see anything wrong with people getting on one channel, then someone else is going live, and they go checking them out and coming back. You know, it's all about sharing. That's what it's all about. I did not invent YouTube. I did not invent the internet. That was Al Gore. I did not do this. I did not do that. You know, I just use it as a tool. It's great. Oops, I almost forgot the thumbs up. Oh, Ben, thanks, man. Thumbs up. Hey, I appreciate it, guys. And our new subscribers, I really, really do appreciate everybody. Everybody matters to me, man. But getting back with the topic of with the Ibanez guitars. Oh yeah, oh, thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'm seeing a growth too. Little Ed Enos, thank you so much, my friend. If I mispronounce people's names, I apologize. Yeah, Ben, thank you. I really appreciate it. And Ben, we got your number, so I gotta lock it in my phone, and definitely get in touch with you and have a good conversation, my friend. You rock, dude. Our good friends up in Canada. Let's see. Terry GG and G's up in Canada. Adam EVH is up in Canada too. Adam, you rock, my friend. Absolute Mayhem, Canadian friends. The guy Glenn something. He's got the studio, long hair. I like to see Glenn on a construction job site. That's what he reminds me of. You know, when you hit your thumb with a with the hammer. And it's not like, oh, darn, I hurt my thumb. No, you're not saying that. Whatever comes to mind comes out of the mouth, right? Fletcher, that's right. Yes, Glenn Fletcher. He's from Canada. So we got great Canadian friends, man. Canada's a great country. I've been there a couple of times. We played a couple of private shows up there. Drove up there and drove back down. But it's absolutely beautiful country. So anyways, I know with the popularity of like the EVH guitar, I think it's great. I think Eddie Van Halen's smart because he's franchising himself, if you want to call it that. He's branding himself, selling a product that, you know, he came up with an idea because there wasn't anything around for him. It's the Great White North, eh? Yep, it certainly is. Rush, 2112. Remember when that album came out, man? Was rocking. Still rocks today. I got my Allure. It's an insurance company. Of course, it's backwards. So if the lady sees this, a nice German lady down here in Cape Coral. Well, she's a smart lady. She figures, okay, no problem, Dave. I know it's backwards. Kind of give a shout out for you. You know what? I believe in giving shout outs to people who have been good and kind to me. And sometimes I forget because we got so many good people out here on YouTube that are subscribed to my channel, and I subscribe to them. And even if they haven't subscribed, you know, I think they're great people. I really, really do. Because again, it's all about sharing ideas, right? Okay, so getting back on the topic with the topic of the Ibanez guitars, it seems it's one company that has this growth, and the reason why they have such a wide spectrum. And now, right now, they're running really high and mighty with the RG series, and of course, this is called the RGA, or yeah, RGA. So it's almost like a combination of the SA and the RG series guitar. And, you know, oh yeah, Herman Lee's another endorsee with Ibanez guitars. And I think there's just a lot. There's a lot of people with Ibanez guitars. And whether you like them or you don't like them, that's irrelevant. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not Mr. Ibanez, so it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not endorsed by them. It's just a company I find real interesting that they started out making copy guitars, and someone I read somewhere they actually started out selling sheet music, and then someone had an idea, or maybe by necessity, let's start building guitars because we're seeing a demand, and you know, this went forward, and they made all these copy guitars. They were getting sued, and then they totally did a 180. And if anyone remembers those guitars in the mid-1970s, when they quit making the copy guitars and got into the Artist series, the Musician, the Iceman, a few others, I wish I would have kept that catalog because it really spotlighted all their creativity on their own personal designs. Holy crap, did they really take off. And to now, again, with the RG series being hugely successful, and their semi-hollow and their hollow body jazz guitars, they're a driving force, and even into the acoustic realm. I do have a couple of acoustic Ibanez guitars. I probably will bring out on my next Wednesday if I remember. I got a nice 12-string, and a steel string. And they call it the Exotic Woods. And I know it's a bunch of laminates. But for the money, they're very comfortable guitars. I played them at quite a few of my shows. They work great. My main nylon string guitar is Cordoba, however you pronounce it. And that guitar has been an absolute workhorse for me, you know. But it's just interesting how this company has made so much stuff. Plus, then, you know, with the Ibanez Tube Screamer, which, you know, is like the holy grail of overdrive pedals. There's other pedals out there that are just as good, if not better, but, you know, this is what's being pushed as far as what's being compared to. I had, maybe it was the very first version of the Ibanez Tube Screamer. I bought it in 1980 for 35 bucks. The TS-808. It was a little bit narrower compared to the reissue model. The reissue is a little bit bigger. The reissue, it's got a battery access door, where the very first version you had to unscrew the back plate to, you know, pull the battery out. No one liked that pedal until when JJ's House of Jams. What's happening, my friend? You rock, my friend. I hope you're enjoying that Helix, because I saw a couple of what you were doing with that, and that thing sounds amazing, man. It's incredible. Yeah, it's a great pedal. It's a great pedal, and so is the Pod HD500X. For a lot less money. I kind of go for stuff that is not going to be so expensive that when I take out, it could run the risk of being destroyed. However, if I had something like the Helix, it would stay in the studio, and that's where I would do all my main recordings from, you know, and you know, try to baby it, you know, because anything can happen. See, here's the problem with down here in Florida. We have the hurricane season, and then we got to pack up and, you know, bail out of Dodge for the hurricanes coming this way. And there's only so much gear we could fit in our car, and also weight-wise, even though we have a couple SUVs, because we have to bring water. Sorry, guys, we had to think a little dropout. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm back again live. Now, again, what I kind of like about this guitar in particular, it's very comfortable for me to, not super expensive. Mr. Terry, how you doing, my friend? I love your videos with that PV Viper, man. That amp is fantastic, and that, I think, out of all the modeling amps, the distortion setting is 100% analog, and I'll give it. Mr. PV's a smart man, boy. I'll tell you, he's brilliant, because throughout all his career, and if you guys remember back in the 80s, we had the Special 130, the Bandit, the PV Bandit solo series, and even before that, and of course Ben Coombs, you have the classic. But so you remember when PV was up and coming, and very reliable amps, but maybe tone-wise for rock and metal, not so much, but more like blues rock and like southern rock. It was great. So back in the 80s, if you told someone that PV was going to exceed the Marshall as the tone for metal, for modern metal, you'd get laughed at back in the 80s. There's no way. Absolutely no way, my friend. Now we look at what we have as the 6505 Plus and the head, which is really the 5150. But I think they did a little tweaking. Mr. PV is very smart. He might listen to what him and Eddie Van Halen collaborated on, but then whatever happened, he's going to say, all right, I'm still Mr. PV, and I'm got these ideas, so it's my product, and I'm going to tweak it, and boom. And it's interesting watching videos of the Tone King interviewing Mr. PV, and how partly PV will say, I really don't want to come out with a reissue amp because, you know, we're going to have it in purple, you know, the Trans 2 Bandit in purple, and the Trans 2 Bandit in blue, and then here's one in red, but it's the same amp. So he keeps moving forward, and he keeps the price affordable, because it's for the working musicians. And these are companies that will always survive. because they're going to sell a lot more in volume, and they'll be smart about their overhead. I think that's key right there for any company. If you're smart with your overhead, you won't put yourself to the poorhouse real quick. I do have a custom guitar called Camelot, and I got it in the case, so I got to, maybe on Saturday's chat I'll bring out the Camelot guitar. And this is a good example of a company that wants, oh yeah, PV's the VTM series amps. They were great amps, Jim, yeah. And then Ben Coombs, the classics, yeah. And now the classic, there's these different versions of the classic. You had the VT something. They had the built-in phase shifter. But then you have the PV Classic with the Tweed, which is like their classic series. So it's not like it's the same amp with different colors and different housing, It's actually different types of amps that he has. But with this guitar, Camelot, it's a great guitar. It's total bird's eye maple fretboard and neck, and I believe it's alder body. And the company was down here in Florida, I believe. We got it in 2002, and we were going to get an endorsement deal with them, and they were, matter of fact, the band Slaughter. If you look any videos that is of the early to mid 2000s, some of those guitars, they almost look medieval, or almost, well, you'll see this shape when I show it on Saturday. It's a Strat style shape, but it's almost like a medieval type of a shape, because that was their concept, Camelot. So the band Slaughter was one of the endorsees. We were going to get on the endorsement. Hey, Mr. Absolute Mayhem, what's happening, my friend? Rock and roll, buddy. But what happened was with Camelot is that they wanted to sell their product too high. And I remember I was at a trade show, and we had these kids come in, and I have my double guitar stand, right? And I'm playing my Camelot guitar. Actually, I took a break, because I was signing CDs, That's when people were buying CDs. So, on display, what you could see on my double stand was my Camelot guitar, and on the back of my double stand, actually, if I could get this out, you saw the back of the BC Rich Warlock, right? So when you see the back, then you see the front. But the idea was you see the back and you see the Camelot in front of it. These kids, the first thing that came out of their mouth was, dude, that's a cool Warlock. So in other words, they looked right past the Camelot guitar and they spotted the BC Rich Warlock. BC Rich has got situations too, which is, it's sad. It's just another subject for another time. But what happens with companies when they want to overprice their product and not have the brainstorm idea, say, okay, here is our core model guitar, but now let's come out with a very competitive, affordable model, because at the time the Ozfest concerts were going huge. Everybody wanted the Kerry King BC Rich Warlock that they get for $199 with the little tiny amplifier, and they're good to go, They look cool, they're going to sound cool, right? You got the $1,200 Camelot guitar that looks okay. Well, I guess that's a nice guitar. I mean, I don't know. And it is a nice guitar. But the perception when you see these things, and then when you hear the price of $1,200, but yeah, Kerry King from Slayer's not playing that, and I could get a Kerry King model for $200. I don't know if I bring out all the calculators that I have and the little love beads and do the math. I think $200 is cheaper than $1,200. For some strange reason, they don't seem to understand this, and I'm not knocking anybody. It's a lot of work getting a company up and going. It really is. When you have employees, especially here, and well, I want to say in Illinois, because we had employees. You got to pay for. Yes, we're back on the deck. What I was going to say is, as an owner, just to give you a quick idea, you will pay a full 15% into your Social Security, whereas each employee you pay 7.5%. So boom, you got all this money you got to pay, and I totally understand that. But if you're going to overprice yourself and you can't get your model of guitar inside the music stores, how are you going to sell your product? Now we have the internet, so who needs to go to NAMM anymore, right? And I'm not knocking NAMM. My wife has been to far more NAMM shows than I have. Far more. Because she had a company where they were actually making speaker cabinets. And they were also running sound. So, of course, they're going to be at NAMM. If you come out with a product on selling guitar lessons, you know, you could probably get to NAMM because it's still a business product. Which, back in 1989, I think it was, 1989, 1990, it was $2,500 to rent the booths over at NAMM, because that's what my wife had to pay, her and her business partner. So I don't know what it is now. And tomorrow is... I guess tomorrow will be Monday. Depends what state of mind you are in, my friend. Right? So anyways, it's a lot that's going on. A lot of these companies, they go through a lot. And getting back with the Ibanez Guitar Company, they seem to have never pulled products out and disappeared. I remember when this happened to Dean, because for a while, Dean is a great company. Dean guitars are kick-ass guitars. Remember back in the 70s in the Guitar Player magazine, they had the picture of the girl, the blonde girl in the bikini, holding the Dean Flying V. Of course, that was big, man, you know. That was huge. But then later on, Dean came out with the Dean Baby Z. And their headstock, the V-type headstock got real small. And they had shorter, like, there wasn't a short scale guitar. The body shrink. That's, I guess, where they had the idea, the Dean Baby Z. But then after a while, then that company, it seemed, I know for a fact, all of a sudden they disappeared. Like MXR pedals disappeared. And the, I want to say, like, getting to about 1983, 1984, they were going down. And then all of a sudden, they were gone. A few other companies had that happen to them, but it seemed that Ibanez kept going strong. And Ibanez expanded. They basically started out as the Les Paul Jazz and then Paul Stanley type of guitar. And then later on, they came out with the Roadster. And then they had the X Series guitar. And then later on, before it was the RG Series. And I used to have the catalog, and when you move, you lose things, right? I don't know if it was it was going to be a Joe Satriani model or a Steve Vai model. But to give you an idea, the body of this guitar, it was like this, except the horns were not real pointy. They were a little bit more rounded off. And I believe the front part tapered in, and the back also came up and tapered in. And the side, everything was like tapering in, but it still had this square type of shape. That ran for about, I think, the year 1987, or 86, 87, maybe 1988. And then what we have now is the RG. It took off. Steve Vai had the idea, and I think Steve Vai's correct on this. If you're gonna have a guitar that's got 24 frets, you know, kind of make it easy access. My BCH Warlock is easy access. My Lawsuit guitar is not, and it's still easy access, but not like this, you know. And again, it's Ibanez on their own, as their own entity, breaking away from making copy guitars. It's got to be at least 41, maybe 42 years now. So it's been a real strong company. And what we're starting to see, guys, out there, and I'm sure you've seen videos of it, where there's these companies out of China making the Chipsons or Chipsons, and they're making copies of Ibanez guitars that look exactly like the RGs, or no, the Gem series. And they're making duplicates of Paul Reed Smith guitars that look identical. They'll have the name on the headstock. What I don't understand is how come they're not getting sued, but everyone else, you know, if you spell it backwards before the ink dries, there's a lawyer knocking on the door or something. You know what I mean? But they're getting away with it, and okay. Ha, Flipson, yeah. Oh, let me see this. Terry G and G's. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, my friend. What are your thoughts about Justin Bieber buying BC Rich? Well, I'll tell you what. What color is the guitar going to be, and what's it going to be like? You know, it could be a joke. But maybe if he does. Here's the deal. If you got money, I'm going to tell you guys, and you guys are smart enough, so I really shouldn't say this. You guys know this. If you got money, you're in. My wife said it best. You know, the golden rule in business is he who has the gold makes the rules, right? You got the money, you're in. Nobody cares. Nobody cares as long as you can float the company. If Justin Bieber buys BC Rich. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I really do. At first, I was not too big of a fan on the maple fretboard. We got a couple of Fender Strats, a Mexican-made Strat from 1996 with the maple fretboard. My wife's made in Korea Squire Strat with the maple fretboard. My Camlock guitar with the maple fretboard, and then this. But I want to tell you something that's pretty cool with the maple fretboard. There was a couple of corporate gigs I've done, and private party gigs. We get hired, we play at these mini mansions, I'm outside, and we're playing to a certain amount of time where it's still light out. Then someone gets a brainstorm idea. Hey, the party's cooking, everyone's having a good time. How much? Extra $100. Okay, here's extra $100 to play an extra hour. Now the sun's gone down. We didn't bring any lights out. I'm playing in the dark. I'm like, can't see jack crap. But you kind of feel your way around the fretboard. What's nice with the maple fretboard, at least you could kind of see it if you were ever in a situation like that, you know. The only thing with the reverse headstock, I had a black Jackson Dinky reverse headstock, and the Jackson was made in Indonesia. Kind of a heavy guitar. When you gotta restring it, you know, if you're right-handed, it's like kind of awkward, you know. But other than that, it feels great. It's comfortable. It's a really cool guitar. And again, I'm not trying to praise Ibanez. I think they do make great guitars. But I do have other guitars from different companies that I like. I don't have any endorsement deals. I've had people ask me that. And back up in Illinois, when we were still living in Illinois, I had friends, Dave, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? And I thought, okay, to me that sounds like begging. You know, you knock on someone's door, please, could I have, you know, I'd rather buy the product, have them see me use it, and if they want to say, Dave, you know, we like what you're doing, that's fine. Or, Dave, we don't like what you're doing, get the hell out of here, that's fine. If I still like the product, I'm going to use it. Or maybe I'll put tape over the brand name or something. I won't do that. But I guess I come from a different time where you earned what you did, and if you like it, just go out there and play, you know. It's awfully strange, guys. And I'm sure you're aware of this and seen this. The perception of a musician, if they're well, minus this being signed, okay? If they have an endorsement deal, then they must be the greatest musicians that's ever walked the face of the earth, and it's because they're popular, okay? And it doesn't take much to get popular, but as far as the actual skill level, everything is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. You know what? U.S. Customs stopping tribesmen from coming to the U.S. They're pretty good at the West Coast, especially. San Francisco is not good at yeah. Well, there's all kind of stuff that's going on called the trade wars. You know. I guess what it is. We are still recovering from a horrible, horrible, horrible recession, and it's going to take time. So, in situations like this, although this is a huge part of our lives, and players and guitar lovers, we need these because this is our livelihood, and we love it, man, you know. But if we take this down to bare essentials, this and everything music related is a want, it's not a need. The needs will be EMTs, you know, firefighters, mechanics, HVAC, you know, the necessities in life obviously are the needs. The luxuries in life are the wants. And, you know, everyone's still trying to play catch up from a fallen recession, and we'll hope that everything works out, you know, within the next few years, right? I need my Gibson SGI. You got a nice one. I seen that. Yeah. Yeah. You know, again, these are tools for our trade, especially if you're out there gigging. You got to have it, man. You got to have it. But at the same time, you do not have to break the bank to have something that's, you know, 5 figures. I don't know anyone in their right mind, unless they are filthy stinking rich and they just don't care, would want to take an extremely expensive guitar that is really a work of art. And a lot of them are. Actually, all of them are. But the very high-end ones, where there's all this attention to detail, hand-carved, everything. You come down in places where it's high humidity. You're going to play at the place down the road for people that are doing a lot of drinking, and it's high humidity, making $100, and they accidentally drop it, knock the thing over, and that's when you want to have cheaper gear. That's reliable. You won't have to worry about it so much. Yeah, Florida. You got it, my friends. It gets extremely hot down here. Then it rains on us. Earlier it was raining and the sun was out. And I mean, it was storming big time. I'm like, what is this, you know? Excuse me. That's why I do like about the flat matte finish. Down here, you sweat. You don't have to worry so much. It's kind of weird. Everything is totally different, you know. But it does feel comfortable. Again, Ibanez, I like all the stuff that they've done as far as watching them go through these different body designs. Now, a few years ago, sorry guys, they did come out with a model, a body design. It was the exact same year they came out with, it wasn't a star body, because Ibanez had a star body style guitar back in 1985. That was part of their X series model. But this is fairly recent. It's the same type, I forget what it's called. But it's the same body design that BC Rich had and Jackson had. Yeah, with the pointing, yeah, am I worried about it? Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I do. Yeah. Especially when I kind of toss the guitar, that's why you notice I kind of look around and make sure no one's by, and I clunk them in the head. Next thing you know, I get their attorneys calling me the next day, you know. Life happens, right? We got 14 watching, cool. And 8 thumbs up. Appreciate it, guys. But there was a body design that, I don't know if it was called the Assassin or the Marauder or something, but I cannot find this body design anywhere. So I'm wondering if it was a situation where the designer you know, submitted their designs to Ibanez. Ibanez produced the guitars. There's a falling out. The designer still has the rights to that design and says, if you dare put any of my designs out there, I'm going to take your ass to court and sue the pants off you. So they take everything off the shelves. You know, things like this happen. Because if a person is submitting a design and they want to active or passive pickups. You know, honestly, I like passive pickups. I think the idea, after I understood the idea of the active pickups, you won't get any noise. The EMGs, yeah, Ben Coombs, yeah, passive for me. But I will show some respect to the active pickups, because I had someone explain this to me, and I think now, since technology has leaped way in bounds since 1988, 1989. I had the guitar that had the EMG pickups. I would get through a 45-minute set, and toward the end of that 45-minute set, my tone would be changing because the battery would be being sucked dry, you know? And then I did not have a battery access panel, so I had to unscrew the plate and pull the battery out. Of course, the battery is hidden, you know? So, God forbid you're at a live show, you know, there's your second set. Your second set is I'm changing the battery on the guitar. Isn't that nice? It becomes show and tell. Yeah, Florida afternoon storms, man. It gets crazy. If anyone's down here in Florida, you know what I'm talking about. I know Showman Blues is down in Naples, which is south of us. We're in North Fort Myers. We go down to Naples. Most of our live streaming is from the Blue Monkey, which is in Naples. Um, Here's the thing with Florida. We're on the off season. So a lot of the shows, they start to dwindle down because, not a whole lot of people down here now because it's so hot. So today, I was out. I went to 11 places. Spring Hill checking in. Hey, what's happening? Well, I appreciate it, man. So my day today was early in the morning. I went over some of my practice techniques. And I'll show you some of you guys what I do for my warm-up exercises. It's something stupidly simple, but it's something that works for me because I keep my picking hand in shape. It's the easiest thing to do. So I went over my practice exercise, made sure I got something to eat, took a shower, and went out selling. And I was out quite a few hours. Because there's only so many roads down here because we have a lot of canals. And you go down one street and it'll say dead end. Well, the reason why it's a dead end because there's a canal. So you gotta turn around and back up and go around. And I'm still getting myself used to the area down here. So it's gonna take a little more time where I can find shortcuts. But I went to 11 places and some of them I did videotape. I didn't put them up yet. But it's like anything else that you got to do, and I'm going to bring this up because today Dave Simpson, I don't know if you know who Dave Simpson is. He's a guy from Great Britain, I believe. He has a Wednesday Q&A. I was just skimming through. I didn't watch the live session. It was the rerun I watched. And as I skimmed through, he's a great guitar player, by the way. He really is a great guitar player. Looks like a down-to-earth guy. Someone asked him a question about not getting gigs. Dave is okay. That's cool. Yeah. Honest guys, I never want to knock a person or knock what a person thinks or feels about somebody else. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, and I respect that all. And they could have their opinions about me, good or bad. And I respect it all because this is part of life. That's how it is. In this business, you cannot have thin skin. You got to have thick skin. Otherwise, don't. Keep this as your hobby. And I have a lot of respect for people that keep this as their hobby because where they're in a unique position, they could grow with their technique, they could grow with their creativity at their pace without anyone shadowing over them, especially if you get signed. The contracts are signed. You got to get out there and do the gig. I don't care if you're sick and puking and got diarrhea. We got money invested in you. You get your ass out there and play. We need to see the return on the investment. Or the studio time is booked. You got to get in and record. I don't care if you're sick. Get the job done because I need to make money off you. That's how it really is. When you break everything down into simplicity, my friends, you're working for a company. That's how it really is. Yeah, Dave Simpson, and I think he's pretty awesome. He plays with a lot of feel and a lot of emotion. But he made a comment on someone who wrote in and said something to the fact that they feel bad they're not getting enough work. And Dave himself said that at one point he kind of gave up. He didn't give up playing, but kind of pulled away from, going out there selling. Because I'm telling you guys, it's tough, man. And I don't care what your background is, and even if what you have a known name, that does help, of course. Talent in the industry is this much importance. Big bucks is this much importance. That's why, if you got a lot of money, you buy your way in. And if you could barely play Smoke on the Water with one finger, let's see. Hold on, guys. I think it's 8th fret. Yeah, it's 8th fret. But if you got the gift of gab and you start telling stupid jokes and you make yourself the punch guy, or the fall guy, there's something unique with that. people could insult you all you want. You just did it to yourself. You turned it down, and now the people that wanted to insult you, now they're laughing with you because it's like, this guy's nuts. He's so crazy. This is hilarious. So now it becomes a more unique show. It doesn't. That's part of the talent, I guess. But the people who really have talent, what Dave was saying, it was really tough because selling is really hard. And we live now. How important is tone to a drunk crowd? Yeah, exactly. You're right. I keep missing your name and I apologize. I will definitely make sure. Let's see, guys. I'm still new to this technology, so. Okay, Dr. Naberson. Yeah, Dr. Naberson. You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Us guitar players, we do care about tone. Of course, we're never satisfied with our tone. Never. You know. We're always constantly changing. We get used to something, we like it for a while, then all of a sudden, okay, I kind of want to alter it a little bit. That's life, right? But to the person that's out there drinking, you know what becomes more important? Their drink. Their drink is half empty. It's down to here. And you could be talking to somebody, showing off. You got the $10,000 frameless guitar. You got three $4,000 Friedman amps. You got a special made pedal from a guy that was breathing his last breath, that as he was hand wired, he was getting ready to drop. So now it's worth a gazillion. Nobody cares. My drink, I'm almost done with my drink. It's time for another drink. That's what they care about. And this sometimes is such a hard subject to talk about for some people because it almost sounds like I'm knocking what they believe in. I'm not knocking that. But what happens is, when I was teaching back up in Illinois, I had parents that were buying their kids fairly expensive gear because in their mind, nothing but the best for my son or daughter. Okay, but they don't realize how into this music their son or daughter really is. And as soon as you buy one of these, after the 45-day return policy, down the tubes, the value goes. You better wait till 20, 25 years. You might see it go up, you might not. So then, let's say you have to take that $10,000 frameless guitar to the pawn shop. I used to work at a pawn shop back in Chicago, Illinois. A guy brought in a Gibson Les Paul Custom, the Black Beauty. Got a $200 loan. $200 loan on it. That's it. If you're going to sell it, maybe $250. Yeah, but it's a Gibson. It's this, that. Doesn't matter. Because, you see, they got to turn it and make a profit, and it's a used item. So you never see, the only way you'll see something is, Tony's important to maybe one or two other players. Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. But I'm not trying to devalue anything, but it's just how things really are. It means something to a person, and if you have to sell it to make money, just keep that in mind, because I would tell these parents, be very, very careful, unless you really want to keep it and it's something that's your passion. And if you have the money, that's fine. But don't take out a second mortgage for all this stuff, thinking that you're going to go out there and get all these gigs that you guarantee you're going to get the gigs. Guarantee you're going to make this money. There is only one thing that is guaranteed, and that is there is no guarantee. EJ Guitars, yeah. Hey, thanks, EJ. I know sometimes what I say can almost maybe go against me. I don't know. But I just hate seeing people get taken advantage of and being lied to. I guess that's what it really is. Hey, how are you, my friend? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. So, if you have the money, and by all means, you buy what you want to buy, because reality is they're all making great products, not just Ibanez. I mean, if they were making crap, it would not stay in tune. It would fall apart, and as soon as you plug the output jack in, you'd be getting zapped. Now it's not safe, Everything is subjective. It's a matter of opinion. But my personal experience with some of these guitars and the pedals I use, they're workhorses out there in the real working world. And when you are gigging and gigging and gigging and all types of climate, these become your tool. And there's nothing worse than you pull up on a job site and you're gonna work on a house, let's say, and all of a sudden all your tools crap out. Now there's downtime. Now in music there's downtime because now you can't say, oh, it's 8 o'clock at night and all the music stores are closed and everything fell apart. Well, now you're screwed. So bring a couple, and it happens even with real expensive gear. You know. But there really is no guarantees in life, and what Dave Simpson was saying, don't get down on yourself. You are a good guitar. You could be a fantastic musician. It's just that it's a saturated market, and a club owner will say, okay, I have this band that plays Freebird, and they sing it horribly, but everyone gets drunk and loves them, and my cash register is going cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And if they're going to sing it better than, let's say, half of the members from Leonard Skinner, or the hired on musicians that play through Leonard Skinner, not the actual original members, but the ones who got hired on, and then they're going to put together a Leonard Skinner type of band, and use the fact that on this one tour they played 2 weeks with Leonard Skinner, so now they're going to use that. If that's a good selling point. But if they come in the door and no one's buying, and then the hack band that plays some of the songs can pack the place, that club owner is going to take those people that are halfway decent over the person that's phenomenal. Another thing is how you conduct yourself when you go to sell yourself. You have to understand that right away, as soon as you walk in an establishment, there's overhead. As soon as you open up that door, the lights are on, there's overhead. And these club owners, they're stuck to that brick and mortar building where we're transient. We can go anywhere. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah. Is the only one original member left. Oh my God. Wow, Ben. I didn't know that. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that, EJ. Gary, okay. I really do appreciate that. And I share only the experiences I had. Now, this is only one perspective. There's other musicians out there that's gigging who got far more experience, like Ben Coombs' dad. Ben, to me, it's like you're a living legend, because you are one person that I know of that could say, I was born into this. This has been my whole life. Brilliant. Even if you didn't start playing as a kid, you were around this. This type of a lifestyle you were exposed to as you were coming out of the womb. Everything, this is how, and I don't mean that in any disrespect, but this really has been your whole life. So I still think that Father's Day program is up on YouTube. I really recommend everybody watch that, because that's proof in the pudding that you will definitely need some sort of a backup system, because this is, when you're going to make this a business, that's what it becomes. It becomes a very creative business, the most kick-ass job anyone could have. But at the same time, there's that title, job, business, money, that does play into the equation that you have to think about. And on that perspective, it is such a fluctuating business. You cannot guarantee always you're going to be making the same amount of money. You just simply can't, because anything could alter. Whether you're a good or a bad guitarist doesn't matter. The fact that you're trying to play speaks. Yep, it does. Good old doctor's got something very, very important. I mean, very, very factual and important. Yeah. And if you guys were to tune in later on what Dave Simpson was saying, it was, I think it was like 15 or 14 minutes into his Q&A. It's almost like someone was feeling down on themselves that they can't get the gigs, and they think, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not good enough. And Dave said it best. You don't have to be a shredder. You don't have to sweep arpeggios or even sweep the floor. Mr. Joe Wentz, God bless you, my friend. Side note, gotta give a great shout out to Joe Wentz. We will be ordering our t-shirts and your t-shirts soon. We just got our floor and we had our car redone, so we have to kind of put that on hold. But we do have t-shirts. Mr. Joe Wentz was so kind to help us get our store up and running. God bless you, Joe. We really appreciate that, man. And you're just such a phenomenal guitar player. Joe's a good example of a working musician, a working man that's a musician. That man, he's phenomenal. When I watch your videos, what you do is incredible on very little time to practice. That speaks volumes, my friends, because imagine if you had all day to practice, right? Boom. So, and like a lot of you guys and gals out there, you only have so many hours out of the day to practice, because as we get older, there's a thing called life, you know? So you have to take care of these things. And what this guy had written in to Dave Simpson, he was feeling really bad on himself. And even I think at one point it looks like Dave was feeling bad that he wants to be a professional musician. And the guy's a great guitar player. When I say about the plan B, and it's not, this statement is not meant to disagree with anybody who, you know, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to make this work. What your plan B is backing things up with money. And if more people were to look at this as the reality of it, and not a harsh or anything bad, but a very strong positive reality, well, you talk to a lot of business owners. Let's say they get a corner store up and going. And a lot of these people will still keep their day job because, you see, you don't see a return on your profit till maybe a year or two down because you have overhead. When we were doing HVAC up in Illinois, we were doing a lot of the housing market, new residential housing. I did not want to do commercial work. I did not want to do industrial work. There was an organization we belonged to called RSES, stands for Refrigeration Service Engineer Society. Great organization for the trades. Got a lot of respect for those people. They're far smarter than I'll ever be. But that was not my area of interest or my strong point. I was good at installing, but I had a lot of overhead. I had a lot of expenses. So the perception of you're making X amount of dollars and you're starting to get into the six figures, well, that's gross. That's not net. So if you equate that to opening up a music business, whether you're going to be a performer, and there's a lot of avenues out there that people overlook. Weddings, I don't want to be a wedding guitarist, that's boring. I got to wear a tie. Okay, fine. Not all the time. Or a corporate gig. I don't want to do a corporate gig. I want to make it. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But keep in mind that that's a phone call that you might wait a lifetime before it even rings, because as each half a year goes by, more and more people started playing the guitar, and they put cover bands together, and they're out there playing, or they're writing originals, so the whole industry gets saturated. Now there's more supply than there is demand. So that phone call, you could be waiting a lifetime. So I really think what would help people avoid a huge depression to the point where they take their lives over music, are you kidding me? Or over acting, or something that is so minute in importance. So if you got money, you got the song, that's it. You got it, Ben. But it's kind of tragic to see people actually go through this if they would just get their heads together and say, wait a minute, let me snap out of this. If I have to go up and go back to work at my day job, that's fine, because now I have my steady source of income coming in. I could float my boat, I could take care of the essentials in life, and then my extra money I could fund my business, my guitar business, my music business. And I could start calling the shots, because now as your side money grows, and let's say you don't want to play the bars anymore, you're done with booking, with booking agents, you start contacting the people. And I'm not a big fan of the pay to play, but in this respect, this is where it comes out to your benefit. Now you got more of how can I say, a playing power, because now you're actually going to go to that owner of the property and say, listen, I got this idea for a show, and we want to put on a performance, and we really like the facility. We think the venue's nice. We want to do our show at this venue. As opposed to being on a waiting list and begging and crying and saying, I know someone that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You take charge. You contact the owner. And yes, there's a lot of waiting on that as well. But you're going to give yourself more of a guarantee, because, see, now you're going to do this with money. You're going to rent out the place, sell the tickets, guarantee, you have more of a guarantee you're going to get that gig than if you stand in the waiting line. Now, I'm not saying not to try that as well. Go ahead and keep doing that. But I've seen so many people just quit playing, and then there's horror stories of people, they get so depressed now they're on dope, they get rid of their gear, or they go such to an extreme that they commit suicide, not realizing the effect that they're going to have on their family and their friends. If they only were to sit down and think, wait a minute, why would I want to hang myself or do this because so-and-so's not going to give me an opportunity to play? How about I give myself the opportunity to play? How about I take charge? How about I back up with money? And sure, it's a long process. But don't you think, guys, when does hurricane season start in Florida? I know I'm going off on a tangent. I'm sorry, guys. Tampa cranks out metal. It does, yeah. Hurricane season actually has already started. We're getting like minor hurricanes. And because we're getting all these storms, I'm hoping this is a good sign that we don't have a bad hurricane season. Last year when we got down here, it seemed like the whole month of August, we didn't get that much rain. And it was weird because all the locals were telling me, Dave, we're not getting that much rain. You know, usually we have a lot of rain. And it's unusual. Well, what was building up was Irma. Irma was building up, and bam, boy, does she hit. So it's really the heart of hurricane is usually end of August into September, where it really starts to get dangerous. And see, this is where we have to kind of take cover. If we have to leave the house, leave the area, then we have to rent out a hotel or go to an area where see, our house is not built to withstand strong hurricanes, although it's still standing. And by the time Irma hit this area, it was deemed a Category 4 hurricane. The house next to me that way and the house next to me that way, the front awnings blew off. The only thing that happened to our house was 2 siding panels blew off. Blew it to my next door neighbor. He brought it over. I was able to pop the siding back in, and we were good to go. Thank God in heaven, because I was really expecting to come back to rubble, and then finding a guitar tuner here, half of a headstock there, maybe a pickup over there. You know, I had to leave a lot of stuff behind. You know? See, this is what I mean. Tampa used to crank out death metal in the 90s too. R2, R3. You know what? I think you're right. Because in early 2000s, we would go up to Port Richey, New Port Richey. My wife was in college, and on her spring break, we'd come down. We'd go to a music store called Encore Music, which is where I got the Camelot guitar. And I bought a CD called Firstborn. It was one of the local bands, and it was very, extremely heavy. So that was like the remnants of the metal scene. When we did a show at St. Petersburg College, and I don't remember seeing much of a metal scene now, but I did not have time to wander around, you know. And Tampa is about 2 hours north of us. Is that right, Deb? 2 hours north of us, Tampa? Yeah, it's about 2 hours north of us. So, and then that's 2 hours straight time. If it's packed, then it's 4 hours or 3 hours, you know. But yeah, we had definitely, I guess, a huge metal scene down here. Of course, R2, R3, Locky Nut. You remember the Thirsty Whale? Back in the 80s, man. Everyone played at the Thirsty Whale, the Iron Rail on Irving Park Road, Smiley Coogan's, Illusions, Grand Illusions. I used to have the older Illinois Entertainers, and it used to be a lot thicker with a bunch of clubs in them. I mean, huge, everything. But then, you know, that kind of went to the wayside. Penny Road Pub, I think, is still open. We used to do gigs at Penny Road Pub in South Barrington, Illinois. But that's in response to, you know, talking about the metal scene and that. But getting back to what Dave Simpson said, he was feeling a little bit down, and he's a great guitarist. It's his understanding that it's a saturated market out there, and there's ways around things where you don't have to get into a deep depression. And one of the greatest platforms, guys, and I keep saying this, is YouTube. When I watch Joe Wentz, he puts up those videos, he's gigging. When I watch Jim Dietrich, he's gigging. I know Broken Chains, he's gigging. And I know that sounds almost like, well, it's like a virtual reality gigging or virtual gig. Yeah, but you're still performing. The whole platform has changed. Thank God we have YouTube. Hopefully it still continues to go strong. Dave Simpson, he's out there when he puts stuff up. He's playing. Ed Dana puts a lot of his live gigs up on YouTube, and I think that's great, you know. But when you see the audience responds, is like less and less and less, and then sometimes, you know, it could be a packed house, and then you just kicked ass. You nearly lit the guitar on fire, and you know, and then the clapping goes like this because they realize this is one person clapping. They get embarrassed. What's happened is you walk into these places. There's every wall has got a TV, and everyone's attention. If it's not on the TV, it's on the phone. Back in the day, we didn't have that. The lights went dim, and the only lights was the stage lights, so you could watch the band, and the attention, everyone was more into the music, as opposed to, it's kind of like everywhere. You can't get away from it. So I think what could help would be as if people would bring back the days when you have performers, maybe turn the TVs off to try to help the performer. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm going to have a club and have live entertainment, I think I'm going to want to have people who pay attention to the band. The hell with the TV, right? You go home and watch TV, or stay home and watch TV if you want. But pay attention to the band. You know, show the respect. But, you know, club owners, they're out to sell booze, food, you know. The band is extra, and because it's been so overplayed, no one cares. Karaoke is the big thing, if I pronounce it right. DJs, rap, you know. Just recorded a new video during... Oh, sorry, let me see if I can see this. Just recorded a new video during the live show, of course. Now, I'll probably post it anyway. You know what? We are never satisfied with what we do. When I watch the playback, I'm like, oh God, what the hell am I thinking? What am I doing? You know. But someone will like it, and if it touches someone, if it's one person, if you could inspire one person, you did your job, and you'd be real surprised. And sometimes I would when I say I was very reluctant, and you know, showing I made a mistake or I had a brain fart and I went to the wrong chord, or my guitar is out of tune. I'm like, oh my God, it's got to be perfect. It doesn't, because sometimes to inspire somebody, if you're making a mistake, sometimes that mistake will inspire them more than if you're doing everything perfect. Now, I'm not saying this, I'm not using it as an excuse to be a hack, but when I used to teach, I'd get so many students to get so intimidated. I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to be shredding their face off and, you know, I'm better than you, ha, ha, ha. No, I'm not better than anybody. So I'd flip my guitar left-handed, although I might look left-handed because of YouTube, but I'm totally uncoordinated. Like if I do this right now, watch this. I'm just so uncoordinated, it's a joke. It's like, it's all over, guys. Watch this, you know. You know, I can't do, man, I'm screwed now, right? Now I know what an absolute beginner goes through. Because right now, I'm an absolute beginner. And I started using that concept to help inspire my students. And wow, their eyeballs would open up and say, hey, I could play better than my guitar teacher if he continues to play like that. And they were right. So sometimes to show up someone there's something you can't do could actually work out in your favor, if that makes sense. Sometimes it really can. No matter what anyone does out there, you're not going to please everybody. You're going to get someone that's got something bad to say, or they're going to look for something bad to say because that's what they do. That's fine. Until when they have to go out there and do it, now everything is different, you know, because they don't realize what it takes to do, you know, as soon as you hit the record button. Have you ever done this, guys? You hit the record button, and before you hit the record button, you're in that moment, right? And boy, man, you're just rocking out. Right? As soon as the record button goes on, like, oh shit, and you start thinking, the thought process is in the way. Red record button, Doom. You're right, Paul. Yeah, absolutely, man. You see that glowing red? It's like, oh shit, you know. That's like in the recording studios. Back in the day, you go in the recording. This is what we used to have. It was called lockout, tagout. So if you didn't finish, you know, it's you book 4 hours, and then the hands of time, the hands of doom, I'd call it, stops right there. All of a sudden, you could be right in the middle of a killer guitar solo. You better stop because I don't have enough money to continue on. And then what you do, you set your settings on that mixing console. They call that lockout, tagout until the next day. And then you better be there because if you're not, the next band comes in with the money. Then everything's all different. Then now you got to spend time to remember the settings. It's all downtime. All downtime. That's what I like about the home studio. Because you're at your leisure, you know. You could do what you want when you want. But yeah, when I saw this video on with Dave Simpson saying, you know, it's just a saturated market. There's a lot of great musicians out there. And when I say there's a lot of great musicians out there, they could be bending one note. And that very same problem, yeah. That's right. When that red light glows, it's like, look out. Van Ellis, Dave Simpson suffers from depression. Oh. Well, maybe he does. I don't want to say anything bad about that. I hope he doesn't. I hope he could kind of pull himself out of it if that's the situation. Because you know he's got a lot of good insight. I've seen some of his live performances on YouTube. He's a really great guitar player. You know, it's just this industry. This is how it is. It's got nothing to do with if a good person's a good musician or not. Yeah, a lot of musicians do. There's an old, that song, it's an old 60s song, R&B song, Tears of a Clown When No One's Around is such a true statement, you know. Any type of entertainment. Yes, and you know, but now here's the positive side of this situation. He makes great music. His melodies, they're great. And I remember either reading or seeing a video interview with Al Di Meola, and he said that, you know, in the earlier days there was so much going on, that's why I was able to make great music, and everyone who knows about Al Di Meola knows what a great guitar, not just a killer guitar player, I mean, like the godfather of shred, if you think about it. Great melodies, but he's also an incredible composer. If you play the Elegant Gypsy album that has Mediterranean Sundance with Paco de Lucia and Race with the Devil on Spanish Highway, that's just incredible. And then another album that came out in 1986, I believe, called Cielo a Terra, was all acoustic. Brilliant. David was using, yeah, he is. I can't pronounce the guy's name, but I know exactly what you're saying, J.J. Collins. Yeah, he is. He's a huge fan of that guy, and yeah, he does some great stuff, you know. So part of being depressed, maybe you could make some great music, you know. But the danger factor is to let all this bother you to such a point that you can't do anything. Again, we have YouTube, so everyone could put stuff up on YouTube, and they could expose themselves to the world, because a lot of the clubs would say, well, you could play for exposure, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what, I do agree too, JJ. I think what's happening, a lot of people also need to focus on original tunes, and when we do our live gigs, a lot of it's cover music. I'm more and more want to do originals, and go back to doing the originals, and it's just like, it's such a catch-22. You go out to get the gigs, and they're right away to ask you, what do you do? Now, each state is different. It is different down here in Florida compared to Illinois, because I'm still trying to get used to a bar that actually pays us, that calls me for gigs. I mean, it's weird. Usually it's the corporate events doing that, but a bar, but it's different. But still, if you tell them that I'm all original act, it's like, oh, okay, you know, do you do any covers? But what is starting to happen with the covers is that a lot of people They cannot. There's certain covers you legally cannot put up on YouTube, and legally, even in the clubs, you can't play, because if you get a representative from BMI or ASCAP sitting in there, and this has happened a couple times up in Illinois. A couple friends told me this. That guy will come up and start talking to you, and you better, get the permission and to pay to play the songs. Okay, even if it's just a few dollars or a few cents. If you could go through all that trouble, why don't you just write your own music? And I think the audience needs to understand that they need to give us musicians the benefit of the doubt and just saying, let's take the chance. Let's hear what new song they've got out. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and your friend says, come on, try something new, and then you think, okay, maybe I'll try that. I haven't tried anything new. But it's so weird in music. You say that to people in music, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. No, it's got to be a cover. No, it doesn't. It has to sound good. I've asked people when they would say about, play my favorite song or play this. Oh, I know this song. It's because I know this song. And then I've asked them, well, before you knew this song, what made you like it to begin with? Because you cannot say, if you're going to hear the song for the very first time, you cannot say it's my favorite song because I know it, because that's your first time hearing it. What is it that's making you like the song? There's got to be something. Is it the rhythm? Usually it's the rhythm or the melody. And if you think about it, it's always something instrumental coming in, off the gate. Now, and then if you got a good vocalist, that does make a difference. But something is making these people like it for the very first time. If people could go back to that same frame of mind and give everyone a chance, I think you'll see more originals out there being played. And I think you'll see a great affection for music overall, an appreciation. And people will start to say, oh my God, this is great, what I've been missing. And again, we all have our favorite songs and our favorite bands. Of course we do. But to give people that opportunity and chance. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Money for themselves. You can play any song you want. You only have to. That's it. That is totally it. You must live in Chicago, Doctor. You must live in Chicago. That's where Deb and I are from. Originally, I grew up in Chicago. Then we moved out to the suburbs, Aurora and Naperville area, but still the Chicagoland area. We've done a lot of shows downtown Chicago. A lot of shows downtown Chicago. A lot of corporate events. Because they were paying, guaranteed money. My wife would drop the contracts, we'd get a deposit, guaranteed. And you didn't have this, can you bring out 20 people, could you bring out 50 people? What's wrong with your facility? Why don't you have people come to your facility? What's going on? So, and so I'm glad I did mention when I said about I'd be going live tonight. It would be also with Ibanez guitars and gigs in this whole, because sometimes I have a tendency to go off. I see someone make a comment and I go off on a tangent. I apologize about that. I try to share with the experiences I have so people could look at reality and not get lost in a delusion. And then they put faith in a delusion. And then they're so heartbroken that delusion does not work for them. It's kind of like, again, what my wife will say, if you cannot afford to gamble, don't gamble. If you cannot afford to lose, if you cannot afford to lose, do not gamble. So look at a reality. Always be positive. I say these things as a positive statement. I don't want to be a downer. But when I say positive, at the same time, be prepared for those roadblocks, because they're going to be there. Because if I don't say this, and I'm out there doing this, and I'm out there getting the gigs, when my wife cannot do the marketing, I'll go out there and I'll do the scouting for the gigs, right? And I'm out there playing. If I don't share this aspect, this side of the music, and someone out there takes my advice and I tell them everything's wonderful, you're gonna win. They're gonna fall over all over on you. Everything's gonna be nice. You don't buy that cheap, crappy Ibanez guitar. You go and spend that $1,000, $10,000, whatever. You buy nothing but the best, and you will win. I'd be lying to you. I'd be lying to you right through my teeth. And I just don't want people to get stuck in a delusion. They need to understand there is a side of music that is not so good, that can put people in deep depression if they let if they let it put in a deep depression. Have that backup system. You'd be so better off. And you can look at it like, okay, well, I didn't get the gig today, or maybe I have to go back to doing a part-time job, or maybe I go back to doing a full-time job to help supplement my income, but at least I know I could back things up. Yeah. When back in the early 2000s, we had an ad in Guitar World magazine for our lessons and our CD sales. I think it was. It was in the back of the classified ads. And my wife, her sound company used to advertise in all the music magazines. But then Deb contacted the sales marketing, and we started looking into, okay, if we want to get a story about us, and we want to start getting, full page ad and all of that, what's the deal? So I think Deb talked to one of the marketing directors, and I think it was back then it would cost $10,700. I think was that correct, Deb? Something like that. To talk with somebody with Guitar World to get a story and a picture on us, profiled and for Guitar World. No.
That was to get a front page.
Front page.
To get your picture on the front page.
Okay.
Was $10,000.
Was $10,000. Okay, $10,000, and this was back like 2004 or something like that. So, again, if you're in control, you got the money. When people say, Dave, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, okay, who am I supposed to know? Am I supposed to know somebody that doesn't have a dime in their pocket? But they're friends, they're maybe the cousin, and now that could help. Maybe that could, maybe it can't. But usually it's the people with money, right? But let's say you have the money and you're able to do this. Well, now it's more in your favor because you're not going to screw yourself. Only a fool's going to screw himself over, And again, that's one aspect of doing it. So if you have the money to back things up, you're going to be in a much better position than if you put all your eggs in a basket and then it goes south and now you can't do anything to support yourself. That's horrible. I met a person that told me that they got to make it because they can't do anything else, and I felt so bad for them because I thought, what is wrong with learning a trade? What is wrong with if you got to work at a Walmart? What's wrong with this? Well, I'm not going to be a superstar. No one's going to like me. I'm going to tell you something. Half of these people that work in these businesses have more money than the touring musicians. You go to the shows and you see the lights and the glitter. You think, wow, they're making money. But no one looks at it, how much money got spent for that production. Now, we got to make a profit to break even. And the idea is you don't always want to break even. That means if you want to go buy a hot dog, you can't because you just broke even. The hot dog still costs $1.25 or maybe $2.50 or whatever it is nowadays. The idea is you want to here's what you spend, and you want to make more than what you spend. Common sense, right? I really think when I see and I hear these stories with people getting so depressed over it, maybe they're not looking at reality clearly. And I will never look down on a person because they had to get a day job and they didn't make it. I think what happens is there's people that will make fun of them and they'll say, ha ha, I told you you weren't going to make it. I'm better than you, ha ha, and they let that bother you. Don't listen to those people. Don't let those people bring you down. A smart person could always see a way out and will always move forward. They won't let nothing, tear them down. And it's been my advice when I was teaching back up in Illinois. The first thing I would tell them, back it up with money, back it up with a trade, learn how to do something, back it up, and then no one could screw you over, And now with YouTube, people, they want to be known. They want to get that fame. They want to get recognized. You put videos up, and it's like instant recognized. You don't have to worry about the club that just says, well, we'll give you the gig for exposure, but we're gonna string you out. You're gonna make a gazillion calls, and 3 months are gonna go by, and then we might think about giving you a gig. I'm sure all of you been down that road, right? Oh, let's see something. Someone said something if I'm backwards or frontwards. Did they notice we weren't backwards today? You know what? I don't know if it's backwards or not, or if it's on the playback, but I do know I saw something on. Okay, here's what's going on. I'm saying that the guys are saying about, yeah, we used to book the venues and then sell the tickets. JJ House of Jams, boom. I know it's what they consider a pay to play. A place that will hire musicians, maybe you shouldn't really have to do that. But if you notice, if you want to do like House of Blues and places like that are actually theaters, venues like that, you really would be better off doing something like that to guarantee if there's a specific venue you guys really want to play at, because man, it's gonna make my band that much more look professional if I'm gonna do a video, or if I'm gonna market myself to a record company, or whatever, or you just want to take charge. This is probably one of the best ways to do it, because again, you're 100%. If it's your money, you're spending it, you're 100% in control. And I hope I got that right, Deb, because my wife is sitting at her office right there. She's far more smart in business than I am. Way far more smart in business than I am. And everything I've learned business-wise really is from my wife, because she's been self-employed for like over 25 years. And the only reason why she went back to college is to help further her education and her degree. And she's got 3 degrees in marketing, financing, and business. So she had to do all the payroll. She had to do the accounting. She had a lot that she had with the construction companies, and her construction company was at one point $1 million in sales. I'm telling you guys, you start getting up in the $1 million in sales, you're talking major bucks, man. And it's so weird for me. Okay, I'm going to use myself as an example, and I'm not saying I'm not better than anybody, but this is what has happened with me. I went from blue collar, working at a printing company, making a little bit above minimum wage, and then they gave me a good raise, but it was still like $9-10 an hour, whatever it was, to going to a trade school, and the printing industry was starting to get slammed because of the internet, and I went to a trade school, and something that was so far from my interest. I mean, it was like night and day, but it was something that was a need, HVAC. And because my wife was in the construction company, after her sound company and building speaker cabinets, and seeing just how tough it is when you're at the NAMM shows and you're trying to sell your product, and you're one of many products that's out there that again is a want and not a need. And then they shifted to doing custom oak staircases in all these mini mansions. So I went to a trade school, and I went from the blue collar worker to a white collar and / blue collar worker, but most of that white collar work was my wife's smarts. I'd get out there and do, and she would come out and help. But my point is, we would go from making like minimum wage to having a company, actually owning a company that was making all this money, gross. But never in my life being in a situation going from here to here. It was the weirdest thing. And to me, I'm still me. I'm not better than anybody. I still put my pants on one leg at a time. It's such... I hope this doesn't sound like a real long, boring conversation. But what it is, it's such a surreal experience that you have a hard time understanding this. Because in your mind, I need to work harder for this money. It's the weirdest thing, because as a blue collar worker, that's what you're used to. You work, and maybe you see very little results. But as soon as you get in the driver's seat, and when you're now the owner and you're making this money, now it's like it's instantly. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced. And that's how we were able to afford and fund our road shows. Through our construction companies. So the person that I had to know in making it was people with money. The people who had the money was our business. And we were able to make sure that we don't drain the corporate vein, suck all that money dry. You don't want to do that. You got to keep float. You have employees, they got to get paid. The employees got paid before we did, But my point is that's how we were able to fund our music projects, our music company. So instead of sitting and waiting for Joe Blow record company to sign me and find out that Joe Blow was going out of business anyway, so he couldn't do anything for me even if he did sign me, he'd sign me and he'd take my name, and because I signed contract number 1, because I got all excited, I'm going to make it, I right on the dotted line. I didn't even read the thing. And next thing I know, he owns my name. I can't even go out and use my name. I'm a product. I got to totally change my name. Whatever else I sold, you're screwed. That's why our attorney would say to my wife, and my wife even always says this, do not... Okay, good. I thought I was going to lose a connection. This is one of the reasons why some of us maybe won't make it, because they realize that we understand the name of the game, and this guy wants to negotiate so much that I would be better off if I hire someone fresh out of college who don't really know a whole lot. I could train them my way, and I could pay them, bottom salary, because this guy is overqualified. I can't afford to pay this guy. But I could afford to pay the newbie. And that's why a lot of these record companies go after these kids. They're new. It's exciting to them. And I'm not saying there's some good record companies out there. I want to say that because I want to believe there's some good record companies out there. But there's a lot of bad people that's out there. And they see this, they take advantage of people. We had friends that was they were actually in a semi-pro band. I'm not going to name the name of the band because without their permission. It was a brother and sister team. They were out on the road for about 2 years. And everything was, a friend of ours was their friends, the parents' friends. The mom would drive them around from town to town. And I guess they were always promised $800. I told my friend, before you can make a promise that you will always make $800, the whole band, okay? You got 4 members, 800 divided by 4 is 200. Oh, wait a minute, we have a manager. Don't they got to get paid? Oh, we got someone's got, so, the more hands that's involved, the less money that goes in your pocket because of all these other people. Yeah, Donnie and Marie. Well, it's not Donnie and Marie, but yeah. Yeah, IFC, brother and sister. But they were a great new rock band, but they just couldn't make it out there because they were realizing, well, at this show we didn't make $800. But that's what you said, as we're driving, 1,300 miles ago, I was promised $800. Now I get there and, I count with the venue. We're at the venue now. And I see how many people that's actually patrons. I got 10 people in here. Now, and if you got 4 bands playing, think about this. 4 other bands that's supposed to get paid. And you got 10 people that pay tickets at, let's say, $10 a pop, right? How in the hell are you going to turn $800 out of $100? If you guys figure this out, tell me, because I'll jump on that game right now. There's reality. And what happened was, I think the mom was saying, you know what? We're not seeing the reality here. We're not seeing the return. As I'm driving, I'm putting mileage on the vehicle. You gotta make sure you're number one, outside of your guitar and your amp and your pedals, your number one piece of gear is your vehicle, because how are you going to get to the gig? So I think what happened was they're starting to see nothing's happening, and I guess they did a performance, and Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue is there, and everyone's loving them. That's nice. That's nice that you have someone famous liking you. But now we need to pay bills. There's this strong reality that people really need to see. And don't let this bother. For people out there that maybe are so down on themselves because they're not being out there, they're not getting the gigs in, don't let this bother you. Move forward. Do smart moves to help your life. Because your life is more important than this. This is secondary. I did not come out of the room with the guitar. I don't think so. And maybe I was asked. I don't know. But it's just a matter of being realistically positive. I guess that's what it is. And geez, it's 2 hours. It took me 2 hours to say realistically. I could just say it in one term. Realistically positive. Okay, guys, you know what I mean? That's what you have to do, so you don't fall into a deep depression. And some people, they can't pull themselves out. And the amount of lives that they affect their loved ones. It's real sad. And I will make one more statement here, and this has nothing to do with music, but it has something to do with chasing the Joneses, being the king of the hill. You know, I set out this this perception of myself. I'm better than everybody. I can play faster than everybody. I'm always on. I never have a bad day. I'll never show anyone. Be very careful about this, because what happened with a person that I knew, real sad, real sad. He supposedly things went south with his company, and he got so depressed he committed suicide. He shot himself. And I really wish he would have reached out. Now, just think about everyone in the family and the friends that affected. So think about the musicians that do this, that go through this, and musicians that are out there maybe watching this or maybe watch the replay, and maybe they're so depressed they're on they're hanging by a thread. They're waiting for a phone call that maybe will never come in, and maybe in the past, maybe they let their ego go like this. Well, there's nothing wrong with humbling yourself and bringing yourself down to good old terra firma, planet Earth, and biting the bullet and say, you know what? I'm going to get rid of that ego. I might have people knock me, but if I change and I do something positive, they're going to start to see this. And maybe I'll have a better outlook on life, even on myself. And then when I look back, you know, a year or two, whatever, or a month or two, the thought of taking my own life because I didn't make it in music is so foolish that I'm glad that I went out and I got the day job. Now I could afford things. Now I could pay my bills. Now I could just live. And I could still pursue my dream, but now I'm in the driver's seat. I don't have someone trying to yank my chains. Yeah, I did. I did. So I hope this is helpful, guys. And then, of course, when I talk about the Ibanez guitars, you know, again, it's a company that's been around 40 years. Think about if people who like this company, okay, what would happen if they just went away, and then now he's like, oh crap, now I get used to another brand, or I really feel bad, or I worked for Ibanez and I went down tubes. And see, a lot of people, they never think about the backup system. You gotta have that backup system. I will always, my plan B is we take control. We don't let anyone, you know, screw us over. No matter which way we have to do it. If I had to go out and get a day job, well, there are times in the school season. At first I thought, well, it's kind of embarrassing. No, the hell with it. I drive the school bus in the morning during school season. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I have musician friends that want to make fun of that, but yet they turn around and they try to BS me about they're making all this money. They always have a gazillion students, but you will always have students come and go. I've been teaching for like 30-some years. Always have that. I don't care how good you are. You will always have people come and go. Gigs will always come and go. The income fluctuates like this. So the musician friends I would have that would try to make pot shots, and I don't just bother me. But I would tell them, my comeback to them would be like, yeah, that's real funny. That's real funny. But isn't it more funny that a school bus driver can make more money driving a school bus than you can trying to sell your music? Isn't there something kind of wrong with this picture? Now, my point being is that never be embarrassed that you had to take a side job, take a day job to help supplement your income. Never be embarrassed. It doesn't mean you're not a good musician. That means you're smart. That means you're that better of a person and a musician. You could go out and you could handle it. That's just my perspective on it, guys. There's other people out there that got far more experience than myself, probably much better advice than myself. I can only say what I've gone through, what was worked for me. Hopefully it could help inspire somebody and work for them. I will never make fun of a person because they can't shred, they can't sweep. They're always going to have something unique and different. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense to everybody out there. Work all day and play all night. Yeah, Ben Coombs. Yeah, you're a hard worker, man. Like, so is Mr. Joe Owens. Here's the thing. People think, well, he's just driving a truck. He's sitting on his butt driving. You better be focused. I have a CDL license. I'm going to tell you right now. You come stumbling in on a few hours of sleep. Your boss is going to say, dispatch is going to say, hey, whoa, wait a minute, get over here. Let me look at you. Are you fit to drive? I'm going to send you out on a load, my truck, my company name, and you get into an accident. Guess who gets sued? The lawyers always go after the people who have the most money. If the company has more money than the driver, guess who gets sued? You know what I mean? Common sense, right? So always, be prepared. Such, I mean, Joe Winch he does have a tough job. I think all of you guys got tough jobs out there, but it is a lot of responsibility driving. So when you put this on the scale, weight scales, and we love to play our music, we love our guitars, man. There's nothing like it. But it's only one part of aspects of our lives, Always look at the other aspect of what you have to do during the day that is just as important, if not more important. This guy, a young guy out here, Robert Baker, he's got a young son. Great guitar player. He's smart that he's using YouTube as his advantage, and he's able to put videos up and shred. He's a great guitar player, and he's smart. So, go ahead and do what you need to do, and don't let life drag you down. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. I know I went over. I always say it's going to be an hour, but I go off on these tangents, and I do apologize. I just hope that they're able to inspire people. And if you got any comments, always feel free. If someone says, Dave, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you suck ass, I'm not going to go home and go and wet the bed over it. That's your perspective, Sometimes it makes me evaluate what I say, and I'm like, okay, maybe this person's got, something here, and maybe I need to look at all angles, right? So, again, if you like the conversation in general, I appreciate it. You always feel free to share your comments. So what I'll probably do is look at the replay and check out the comments and that. Share your experiences out there, because all of this helps people. There's a new generation coming up. I know there's these videos that guitar is dead and that, but there is a young generation, and I've talked with some of these kids, especially when I drive the school bus. I'm around kids, and I've had kids tell me, we're getting tired of rap and hip-hop. It's my dad played this, bus driver, you ever hear of a band called Led Zeppelin? I'd say, I don't think I have. Must be a new band. I just joke with them, make them feel, more special. And I start to see that there's a generation coming up that they're not interested in hip-hop. When I was teaching in Illinois, I had these kids. They love the guitar. So there is hope, my friends. Anyways, I thank everyone for tuning in. God bless all you guys for subscribing. We love you all. You're a great inspiration. To me, you guys are the stars, because when I can watch your channels, I'm looking at what you guys are doing. It's like brilliant. I never thought of that. So hopefully one of these days we go to the Sweetwater Gear Fest. We can run into everybody and just hook up and have the lunch and just go nuts, and be such a great honor meeting everybody in person. You guys are really special. You really are cool. Again, we thank everybody for tuning in. Like Ben Coombs says, hold the doors of opportunity. Ben, that is such a strong statement, my friend. Doors of opportunity. Hold them open. Peace, everybody. It's so important. Always desire to inspire. Keep things real. Keep things positive. Rock and roll, man. Yeah. Until Saturday. We'll do a Saturday afternoon, and we will stream our live show. We got new songs coming up. Oh, my announcement I wanted to make before I forget. See? It's real simple. Anyone who wanted me to feature some of their songs, in between when I play in that, if you want, you don't even have to send it to us. You just, say Dave, type in Dave, check out this song, I've done Jim Dietrich songs, Broken Chains. I'm going to talk with Joe Winch. I kind of like to do that, to kind of okay, there's new people out here that I think everyone would love to hear, and so far the response I've been getting, especially when we go to get the paycheck, I had talked with people they're liking your guys' songs and my originals more than the covers. So there's something unique happening here. So it's an opportunity for people. You could subscribe if you want. That's okay. It'd be nice to subscribe, but you can just send us, yeah, Dave, just check out this new song, man. Check it out, Try to play along with it and try to keep your volume up so people could hear your song. I think it's really unique because people are liking it. So anyways, my friends, that was like my special announcement. Just go ahead and tell me what songs you got, and I'll see what I can do to get them up and play and announce it at my live shows. The more exposure, the better, right? Because there's a lot of people that are just now finding out about this guitar community, and I'm hoping that it's helping it grow. That's all your channels, because I want everyone to subscribe to your channels. Anyways, stay safe out there. Hold the doors of opportunity open. God bless, my friends. Rock on. Desire to inspire. Keep it real. And God bless. You guys have a great, great evening now. Take care. We'll see you Saturday. Bye-bye.